Miami-Dade County, under the leadership of Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, is moving swiftly to expand COVID-19 vaccine distribution to protect our community and move our economy forward. Vaccine supplies are currently extremely limited, and as the state provides more vaccines to the county, we are working hard to distribute them as fast as possible. Register for vaccine updates and get more information at miamidade.gov/vaccine. Get vaccinated, Miami-Dade County. It's our best shot for a strong, healthy community.
And welcome in WDNA 88.9 FM, the Frost Jazz Hour, here this fine Thursday morning. I'm your host, Philip Capuzzi, and we have a really exciting group with us here this morning for the Frost Jazz Hour in the wake of a wonderful performance last night. The CJB and SJB groups alongside Christian McBride at Maurice Gusman Hall. Wonderful performance that we were promoting for a while here on the show. So really happy to see that went off so successfully last night. And now we're here with more live music this morning with a group that I'm actually quite familiar with and very happy and honored to have them with us here this morning. We have the Eric Stern Quartet, led by Eric Stern on piano, alongside Blake Aldridge on bass, Henry Mohr on drums, and Luca Stine on trumpet. Really looking forward to the performance. I'm going to speak with Eric a little bit later in the program, but for the time being, I think we're just going to step into the music. First, we're going to hear a composition by Luca himself entitled Wonderful, live and direct here on the Frost Jazz Hour from the Jazz Gallery at our studios here on Coral Way, WDNA 88.9 FM, the Eric Stern Quartet. Guys, take it away. Eric Stern Quartet live and direct here on WDNA 88.9 FM, the Frost Jazz Hour. That's Eric Stern on piano, joined by Luca Stine on trumpet. He wrote that last tune entitled Wonderful, an apt title if I do say so myself, joined by Blake Aldridge on upright bass and Henry Mohr on drums, here for the Frost Jazz Hour. Every Thursday morning from 11 a.m. until 12 noon, we welcome in musicians who are either current students or faculty or have been in the past and have some affiliation to Frost, really bring in some wonderful musicians. Last week had the pleasure of welcoming the new Stamps Quintet onto the show and welcoming back the old host, Chuck Bergeron. And as he leads that ensemble, a wonderful, wonderful group, really ahead of their years. So excited to see what they're able to do as they move forward. And looking forward to next week's program, we have Vanya Junko in with her quintet. That's going to be a really interesting performance, followed by the Monk Mingus Ensemble, led by the ubiquitous John Hart the week after that. And then actually moving into October, the Art Blakey Ensemble, led by the great Brian Lynch, is going to be gracing the Jazz Gallery. But for us here this morning, the Eric Stern Quartet, we've heard only one song so far, so we're going to continue on with the music. Coming up next, one of my personal favorite compositions, Frank Churchill's Someday My Prince Will Come, here on WDNA 88.9 FM, the Frost Jazz Hour. You're listening to the Eric Stern Quartet. Yeah. Eric Stern Quartet live and direct from the Jazz Gallery here on the Frost Jazz Hour this fine Thursday morning. That's Luca Stine on trumpet, joined by Eric Stern on piano. He's leading this fine ensemble alongside Blake Aldridge on upright bass, who you heard from on that last tune, Someday My Prince Will Come, as you heard from Eric Stern and Luca as well. And Henry Mohr also joining the group on drums. Really incredible up-and-coming ensemble. So, Eric, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. It's a great pleasure to have you on. Heard from your ensemble back on WVUM back in, I believe it was April now, a few months ago, and that was a wonderful performance. So it's a pleasure to be hosting another show that you guys are playing on. So before I ask you any questions about kind of your own individual perspective, I just was curious what brought you four together, into this situation.
Well, I think what happened is that my sophomore year, first semester, I took a composition class. It was a theory class, but it was composition enhanced with the chair of Frost, John DeVersa, and that really allowed me to expand my writing portfolio. I was writing a lot, and I called these guys, and I was like, hey, I want to put together a group to play some of these compositions. And I think it was kind of informal at first, but then I had this one gig that it was like, first I was going to be a sub next semester, but then, someone dropped out, and so I was able to get the gig that semester. So it kind of went from being this kind of, oh, what is this, to like, oh, this is like a group. And so then, second semester we had a number of gigs, both with the quartet and with the trio, which is just this quartet sans Luca. So it's kind of a more established thing, and now it's like we're in our second year of being a group, and it's really been a pleasure to have a group to write with and work with, and a group outside of school to really just kind of do what I want to do as a musician, and allow these guys to do what they want to do as musicians as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started as a group that you formed to play your own compositions, and now it's kind of grown into something more. You guys are playing, really beautiful arrangements, and then some originals from the group as well. Do you get together to write, or do you bring different things in and work on them together? What's that process?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I've definitely written a lot for this group, especially at the very beginning. I was writing a lot and bringing stuff in. I mean, we definitely touch up all the charts I bring in rehearsals. We talk about them. As for the arrangements of standards, I think it's more based off like the record. It's kind of like, what is our own personal knowledge, and we all bring that together. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of arranging that goes on. I mean, but it's definitely a little bit more free flowing in terms of it's not as much written on the page. It's more we're trying to, recapture and bring to life the feeling that was on the record that the tune was originally on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would you say you guys collectively draw from any particular influences as a group?
Absolutely. I know that, I think it's interesting. I know for Luca, Miles Davis is a big inspiration. And so that tune Wonderful is very much in the first great quintet lineage. It's very inspired by that. For Blake, he's a huge fan of the Bill Evans trio. And so the kind of the Scott LaFaro vibe. And then Henry hasn't brought in a ton of writing for us, but I know that Henry's really inspired by Philly Joe Jones and Tony a little bit. And so, having I find him to be a very kind of consistent force at the back, kind of holding everything together while we kind of go off into our worlds. So, yeah, that's the different influences. I mean, I think like definitely, Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, that's right in that lineage. And then Someday My Prince Will Come is kind of based off the Miles version where they do the high F pedal. But, kind of, again, like Bill Evans trio, but like there's other elements. There's other elements to it as well. And for me, I take influence from a lot of places. I don't know, Herbie. Keith is a big inspiration of mine. Keith Jarrett. And Chick Corea, who I've been listening to recently. We've done some of his compositions in this ensemble as well. So
Awesome. Yeah, those influences definitely come across in the music. Yeah, thanks so much for talking, Eric, and thanks for sharing your music with us here on the Frost Jazz Hour. We're going to step away to share some messages from the station, and we're going to come back with the Thelonious Monk composition Let's Cool One here on the Frost Jazz Hour on WDNA 88.9 FM. And welcome back, WDNA 88.9 FM, the Frost Jazz Hour with the Eric Stern Quartet playing their arrangement of Let's Cool One. The Eric Stern Quartet live and direct here on WDNA 88.9 FM. I'm your host, Philip Capuzzi. Pleased to be joining you here, as always, Thursday mornings from 11 a.m. until 12 noon as we welcome in some of the finest musicians from Frost, whether they be student or faculty. This morning we have the former, Eric Stern, leading a wonderful quartet. He's on piano, joined by Luca Stine on trumpet, Blake Aldridge on upright bass, and Henry Mohr on drums. That last tune, as we came out of the bottom of the hour break, was Let's Cool One, the Thelonious Monk classic. And now as we move forward, we're going to hear another classic that's a little bit more of a deep cut, and I'm excited to see it played here in the gallery. The Flintstones theme, as composed by Hoyt Curtin, and wonderfully played by this group here, the Eric Stern Quartet. Also, just to remind you guys, coming up next week, Vanya Hunko is going to be in the gallery at 11 a.m. on Thursday with her quintet, and then the week after that, the Monk Mingus Ensemble, under the leadership of John Hart, is going to be gracing the gallery. But for the time being, Eric Stern Quartet here with us until 12 noon. Thanks so much for joining, whether you be listening on 88.9 FM or perhaps WDNA.org, or if you're watching the live stream on livestream.com or youtube.com. Always so appreciative of the support and looking forward to the rest of this program here. Guys, take it away. Flintstones as performed by the Eric Stern Quartet live and direct here on the Frost Jazz Hour, WDNA 88.9 FM or WDNA.org, streamed live across the world. I'm your host, Philip Capuzzi, welcoming you back into the Jazz Gallery. We have Eric Stern here leading this ensemble on piano. He's joined by Luca Stine on trumpet, Blake Aldridge on upright bass, and Henry Mohr rounding out the ensemble on drums. So Eric, thanks again so much for joining us here this morning. Just to give the listeners or viewers a little bit of background on you, if they're not aware, you grew up in New York City, came through that culture, and then you've been down here in Miami back and forth for the past couple of years. So I wanted to ask you specifically about the music education culture up in the Northeast, because in my experience with it, I had a very positive experience. So I'm just kind of curious what your experience was growing up, being so close to the culture and drawing from it so directly.
Well, I think that it's interesting. I wasn't into the club scene that much when I was growing up. I think that, and even now I think I'm not as about that, but I had definitely had a lot of hands-on experience with people in the field. I worked with people. The main group that I did that I took a lot from was I worked with Arturo Farrell, his son Zach O'Farrell, and Jim Seeley, among others, in the Afro-Latin Jazz Fat Cats Big Band. So the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra is part of a larger umbrella called the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance, and they work to give kids the chance to play this music. And we had an incredible opportunity in 2018 through the program that we got the opportunity to go to Cuba for a week and play down there and just meet people, and it was really one of the best weeks of my life. But I would say no, the music experience down there was really very great. My school was pretty good, but the extracurricular programs in New York and just in the Northeast are really, really good. There's good funding for them, and they're really good and they're really inspiring. So that's part of the big reason why I'm here. I took those experiences. I was like, man, that's great. This is what I want to do. So
absolutely,
here we are.
Yeah. I've actually spoken to Arturo Farrell a lot about those programs. They're really quite wonderful programs. So I'm glad you mentioned them, and it's so cool that you went through there and had the opportunity to go to Cuba. I'm sure that was a really incredible educational experience. So that kind of leads me to my other question, because you mentioned that was a lot of the reason why you were able to come here. So I'm just curious, what's your experience been here at Frost these last couple of years, interacting with guys like Martin Bejarano, Daphnis Prieto, as you've gone through, actually really impressive that you're going through a BA program but still connected with the piano studio. Really speaks to, your musicianship and that you're very adept at the instrument. But yeah, I'm just curious what your experience has been so far here. Also teaching with the Music Reach program, you're mentoring through that program. So yeah, I'm just curious, what your experience has been here at Frost.
It's been good, I've had a lot of positive experiences. Definitely some of my favorite memories. In terms of the Latin thing, Daphnis Prieto, I played in his artist ensemble as a freshman, and that was quite a daunting task, being a freshman in that ensemble, being with all upperclassmen. But it was a lot of fun, and that music is really contemporary. It's similar to what the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra does, but it's a little more modern than that. But it's still really, both are really amazing. So that was a very memorable experience. But the thing is that the ensembles are really where the learning takes place, and I've had really good ensemble placements. I've been lucky about that. That's really, in some ways, that's where I met Blake, actually. We were in I didn't really know who Blake was until the fall semester when I started my quartet. We were in New Music together, and that was kind of a big, kind of a big reason why he ended up being the guy in this group. I mean, if I hadn't known him, I don't think I would have, thought about calling him for it. So it was really, really good. But but Frost has been good to me. I've really appreciated it. And I've also appreciated the opportunities that I've had as a student of the University of Miami as well. I think that that twofold, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like, it's both at the same time, and you have that ability to do both, and that's really special. So I've really, I don't know, I'm grateful for my time here, and it's not over. I've got this semester and then senior year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of not over, I think you guys have some more music for us here this morning. So what do you guys want to play next?
Man, I think we're gonna do a tune by Victor Young called "My Foolish Heart." It's a Bill Evans trio classic, as Blake would love, and then we're gonna finish out. If we have time, we're gonna play "Stella by Starlight," which is another Victor Young composition. But if not, we're gonna finish out with a tune called "Solar." I believe Chuck Wayne, is that the name of the composer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
yeah.
Made famous by Miles Davis.
Yeah, quite.
But yeah, we're gonna finish out with that. So, but it's been a pleasure, and thank you for being a great host, Philip. Really
Appreciate it. Yeah, just real quick before I let you guys play us to the conclusion of the program, where can people find you playing or listening to your music? In the next couple weeks.
Well, in the next couple weeks,
or in
I
general.
don't have too much, but on social media, you can follow me at Eric Stern Jazz, and that's my handle for both Instagram and Facebook. And those are my primary methods of social media. So if you follow me there, that's great. I also have a YouTube channel where I post videos of highlights from gigs past, and I'll probably post a couple highlights from this concert as well, this performance. So yeah, just feel free, and I'll post updates about gigs. For people in Frost or Miami, I am playing the Monday Night Hang this Monday in Clark. That's a Frost thing, and I'm playing with Quintet. We're actually going to do an original of mine, a couple other tunes. I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun. That'll be at 7:40 p.m. at Clark Recital Hall. If you look up Clark Recital Hall Frost, you'll be able to find it. But it's not too far from where we are now, about a 10 to 15 minute drive. So definitely convenient.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. One more time for the listeners: Eric Stern on piano, Blake Aldridge on bass, Luca Stine on trumpet, and Henry Mohr on drums, comprising the Eric Stern Quartet here on the Frost Jazz Hour. They're going to close it out with My Foolish Heart, and then probably the Chuck Wayne composition Solar to take us to the top of the hour. Thanks so much for joining us here this fine morning. Next morning, one more time, Vanya Hunko will be in here with her quintet, so be sure to tune in next Thursday at 11 a.m., as always, for the Frost Jazz Hour. And then the week after that, the Monk Mingus Ensemble under the leadership of John Hart. But for the time being, the Eric Stern Quartet to close out the show. I'm Philip Capuzzi, and I'll actually join you for the Latin Jazz Quarter in just a few moments. And then I'll be back with you on this program next week, as always. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy these last couple tunes.
Bye.